So we are in Parashat Haazinu, and the center of the parasha of Haazinu, we have this wonderful gift that, or maybe should I say the last gift that Moshe Rabbeinu is giving Am Yisrael. Moshe Rabbeinu, the eternal leader of Am Yisrael, before he's saying goodbye, basically on the day that he departs from this world. He gives us a tremendous gift. So he didn't just write the Torah, just writing down the whole entire thing, but he also says that. He says the whole thing to Bnei Israel. And in the Shirah that we have, Moshe arranged in front of Bnei Israel, he arranged and put it together. Of course, if you could understand what it is, whatever will happen in the future to Am Yisrael. Everything that would happen in the future to Am Yisrael is engulfed with this parasha, with this Shirah, should I say. And there's a way to figure it out. The graph figure out certain things and so on and so forth. It's one of those things that is so-called Sod Hashem Li'Yere'am, right? People think that everything is said, and there's certain things that are said as was said to you before, said in a certain way. If you understand, you understand. If you don't understand, you don't understand. So you need to be on the level of the Gra, if not more, to understand exactly and to really see how things will happen, not in the past, but how things will happen in the future. And this is basically he's including in the whole thing everything that happened from the time of our patriarchs, Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, all the way to what will happen at the end. Really, everything in terms of the later on he mentions the Galut, and he mentions what will happen at the end of the Galut, and so on. Until basically the last generation, which is the generation of the ultimate redemption at what we call Acharit HaYamim. Acharit HaYamim, I don't really like to call it the end of time, because time doesn't end. I would say time actually begins during this time. It doesn't end during this time. So, and of course, the complete promise for the Geula, for the salvation itself, that Kadosh Baruch Hu is promising to us, and this is a promise without any conditions. It's going to come. You like it, you don't like it, you're waiting for it, not waiting for it. That's going to come. If you could be good, I'll give it to you. You're not going to be good. No, the Geula is going to come. It's unconditional. And the Shirah is basically a eternal testimony on the connection of HaKadosh Baruch Hu to Am Yisrael, and of course with each and every one of us to HaKadosh Baruch Hu as well. So it's very, very deep. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, especially now after Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, when we make HaKadosh Baruch Hu again Melech al Kol Haaretz, right? Basically, we recrowned HaKadosh Baruch Hu, accepted His kingship on whole entire creation. It seems that we getting somewhat of a clarification with this parasha to how His kingship is actually going to evolve itself or reveal itself until basically the end of time. And this parasha comes to really strengthen us during this time of the month of I was about to say Iyar, I said that's not Iyar, but in the month of Tishrei, to really remind us and to keep on reminding us our roots, the fact that we have to go back to the roots to really connect ourselves to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and through the part in us that it's really an uncorrupt part, that point in us that it's called the true Jew in us that doesn't get corrupt, and it always stays pure. There's a point, right? And that's the point in each and every one where the tshuva is being generated. This is like the source of all spirituality and unconditioned spirituality, Jewish spirituality, that it's never gets tinted. We might lose the fire, but this point is always there. And that's where the source of tshuva and so on. That's where it comes from. It could be tshuva coming from other things, but it'll be very superficial, very non-committed. But this is when a person makes tshuva from this point, it's basically all the way through. Now, if we're going to look at this, so Parashat Nitzavim, Vayelech, Ha'azinu, Vezot HaBracha is basically one unit. It's one section that kind of summarizes the words of Moshe Rabbeinu in the last day on his earth. And Parashat Vayelech, Moshe tells to the people, Ki anochi yadati et morecha v'et arupecha kashe, I knew that you are very stubborn. Hen be'odeni chai imachem hayom, mamrim ha'etim im Hashem, ve'af ki acharem moti. Why, even while I was here, you were like kind of knuckleheads, you were very stubborn, even more so after I'm going to be gone. I mean, just to think about that level of pain that Moshe Rabbeinu suffers, and not because he's going to die from, oh, poor me, I would like to live a little longer, not of that point. He says, when I was here, these people did like this. It feels tremendous sense of responsibility. And unless you experience that, even on a much smaller scale, of really responsibility, and not necessarily to your kids or to somebody that you have so-called blood relations to, right? I'm talking about people that basically are strangers to you. When you feel the strong sense of responsibility, is sometimes more painful than your own child, and because you feel responsible for that. To our children, we don't always feel responsible for their actions. We send them to the teachers, we do that. But for strangers, we can actually develop that. And he says, oh my goodness, what's going to happen to these people? And him being so loyal, the Ro'eh Ne'eman, the loyal shepherd, is a tremendous thing. It's like taking a piece of his heart, And that's what, but he says that. So Moshe warns the people on the very difficult situation in which they are going to experience. And there are two different levels of what we call peirut verichuk, separation and then distancing. And of course that separation and distancing is mainly from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's the biggest problem. And it says, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, V'kam ha'am, etc., etc., והפר את בריתי אשר קראתי איתו, וחרה אפי בו ביום ההוא, ועזבתים, והסתרתי פניי מהם, ומצאו הוראות רבות וצרות, and so on and so forth. So the first stage is that they're going to fall into, which we spoke about it before, and is going to be הסתר פנים, and then after it says, ואנוכי אסתיר את פניי ביום ההוא, על כל הרע אשר עשה, כי פניי לאלוהים אחרים. And then it's a very difficult, even more difficult stage of I wouldn't say anger, but disconnect from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that we hit so far we can't even see him. If you, watch some science fiction movie, if you see there's the astronaut or the, whatever it is. Imagine an astronaut outside of a spaceship, right? And he's floating like this, it's connected to this umbilical cord, he's hovering, and there's all of a sudden something happens, it's disconnect. The distance is immediately and far because objects in space fly so fast. So you saw it and then boom, it's so far, it's gone, you can't come back. So that's the hester panim. It's separation and then the distance that it's really far. And it's a very difficult stage to be in. Because the separation is keherifying, and then the distance is also, and then it's like so far, it says, I can't go back there. I don't know if you ever swam in the ocean. It's a very interesting experience, Maybe here you guys won't swim, it's too cold, or there are sharks, or whatever it is. However, I remember as a kid, I used to go to swim a lot in the ocean. I love the ocean, I love swimming, and so on and so forth. You go in and you start swimming, and you swim and you swim and you swim and you swim, and it feels good. You feel all of a sudden the water becomes colder. In the Mediterranean, water is warm, and all of a sudden it's colder, and you know that you're really deep because you feel the change in temperature. It's amazing. And then you turn around and you feel good. You're swimming. Yeah, it's like not a problem. Everything is beseder gamur. And all of a sudden you turn around and you're saying, "Oh my God, this is so far. I have to swim all this back." And because don't forget, there's always, I'm not swimming, miles and miles into the ocean, but still there's a certain curve of the earth, you you see it looks scary because everything, you don't see people anymore. Is quite of an experience. So that's the separation of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We separate and then we put the distance. So don't do it unless you know how to swim well, and don't do it here. I don't know how to take responsibility here in the Atlantic Ocean. I don't want to. I don't really like swimming in the Atlantic Ocean. It's too cold. It's murky. It's not. Anyway, so. And against this, Kadosh Baruch Hu orders Moshe to write and to teach Bnei Israel that Shira, and we say about Shira, we'll explain what's the difference between Shira and other thing, of Ha'azinu, as basically as an antidote, as a vaccine from whatever is going to come into the future. That's supposed to kind of help us somehow. And it says, "Va'ata kitvu lachem et hashira azot ve'lemeda et Bnei Israel." You should write it down, and you should teach Bnei Israel. Sima befihem. I read one time from Rav Chaim Palachi that a kid could not leave could not leave school, the Talmud Torah, if he, first of all, did not know all the tefillot of, not only every day, of Shabbat and Chagim, and could not recite the whole Ha'azinu. The kids knew how to lay Ha'azinu just like this. That was to do this Shirah. למען תהיה לי השירה הזאת לעד בבני ישראל, because I want this shira, let's see exactly what it is, to be always present among the Jews. והיה כי תמצאנו אותו רעות רבות וצרות, and where if and which will to happen to you, hardship and hard time, וענתה השירה הזאת לפניו לעד, and that shira is going to be a testimony upon him. כי לא תשכח מפיזרו, because not forget from his offspring. And when Am Yisrael is in really the hard galut, and there is hester panim, and it looks like there's no end to the suffering. I was reading like a short biography of this Spanish rabbi who actually was a Portuguese rabbi, and the hardship that the guy went to. Maybe I'll come back, if I can still find it, I'll do it with you. The hardship that the guy had to go through. And I'm saying, Ribono shel Olam, we just don't stop suffering. It's enough already. And how did the people get the koach to continue? It's just, these people are amazing and miraculous. How they're able to overcome this. And you see that really most of the time they're able to overcome it through the involvements of Torah, by the way, all the time. So when Am Yisrael is going to be like this, they're going to read this Shira, and that's going to be as a testimony for the eternal covenant that is established and is eternal between HaKadosh Baruch Hu and Am Yisrael. Okay? So let's do a little bit Kabbalah here, because we're like in the high holidays. I hope you guys are not high, but the high holidays. The Kabbalah teaches us that the essence of creation is to create an opportunity for HaKadosh Baruch Hu to give, to be meitiv lebruah, in order to do good to his creation. And we know that she'en ra yored milemala klal. There's nothing bad that happens from above. There's only things that happen from here. There's nothing from above. Without getting into hashgacha pratit, hashgacha, klalit, Ramban. I'm not getting into this now, but just you should know whatever happens from Hashem is always good. Sometimes we don't see it, but it doesn't mean it's not good. So it's good, but we just see it differently. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is mashpia shefa. He's pouring down an abundance of pleasure and good things to us, to this world. In other words, we call it shefa shel or, an abundance of light. Okay, and that comes all the time. It's just from the time creation that happened until now and until forever, this, I guess, faucet of light, which brings all the goodness with it, is always present here. Imagine like a spiritual. I keep saying this all the time because that's the only thing I saw. I've seen waterfalls in my time, but I really was amazed by not just by the falls themselves, but rather with the magnitude of water. When I was standing, right on top of Niagara Falls, everybody's looking for the fall. I was amazed by the amount of water that is going here. I mean, the falls, it looks nice. I mean, the spray and the water, But the water, you just sit there and you say, Ribono shel olam, where is this water coming from? It's amazing. It's amazing, and it doesn't stop. Drought, no drought, that thing is going. So, and again, the only thing that would stop the Niagara Falls is man. He'll close it. There's a dam over there that can close it. But, man cuts the shefa that comes from the world. That's an analogy of what is happening. Niagara Falls is amazing. And that's exactly what Kadosh Baruch Hu. There's more than we can have. More than we can have. So if we, if this is what it is, right? It's very hard to really comprehend all these things that we said beforehand. Or for example, what is the place for all these like severe quote unquote punishments and this distance from HaKadosh Baruch Hu when we live His covenant? Why is that? And how are we supposed to really believe that it is so-called enough reading this Shirat Ha'azinu in order to awaken the Rachamim in HaKadosh Baruch Hu and to really fix what was really blemished? How is this possible? What does it do? So of course, emunah, to have like a emunah temima and so on and so forth, it's always good, and it's without a doubt is one of the strong foundations of Judaism, emunah temima, emunah pshuta. But we have to also look at things from a different perspective, and we're going to look at things inward. I'm trying to create more, and to myself as well. I'm only speaking for myself, of course. I'm trying to do it with you guys, but we need to start awakening things. And to look at things a little different than we've been looking so far, because it's not a way to go. We have to look at things from the inside. I want you to experience things internally, not externally. Inside, not outside. We have to not to isolate ourselves, but in terms of the experiences that we have, it should be more spiritual experiences. And unfortunately, nobody talks about spirituality, especially in certain institutions, by us. Spirituality becomes like something almost like a dirty word, like something that belongs to, I don't know, New Age or whatever it is. But spirituality is a core of Judaism, and we have to have spirituality. Otherwise, we become too technical, and then everything falls down and dies. We have to experience spirituality, and we have to learn how to experience it. We forgot how to experience. Remember the song, I want to know what love is, right? What do you mean you want to know what love is? Go fall in love. I forgot what it is. Okay, so I'll teach you. I want to feel things internally. We need to, and again, we should explain it to our kids as well. How to process things spiritually. Things happen, but how do we process them? Always on the surface. So we should know that the whole entire creation is really put together from two main elements. Okay? And there is an or, light, and there is a kli, a vessel. Or the kli. And the Kabbalah teaches us that the whole entire creation is really put together from this balance between the or and the kli. And this shefa, this abundance that comes from HaKadosh Baruch Hu is always good. The problems comes when it comes to the kli itself, to the vessel itself. The problem is usually with the vessel, not with the or, not with the light, with the vessel. There is a rule in Kabbalah that says that there's no light without a vessel. In other words, the whole existence of the light is because there is a vessel to fill it in. If there would not be a vessel, there would not be light to fill it in. Okay, you understand what I'm saying? So we could say maybe even further than that it is impossible to have an appropriate and eternal revelation of the light without us actually working hard and preparing our vessel appropriately for the light. In other words, you need to clean it. If I, for example, will tell you, I have virgin cold press olive oil of the highest possible grade. You're not going to give me a can of what's your name? Huh?
Dixie cup.
No, Dixie cup will be good, but I don't know, like machine oil, right? That like you put the stuff you put in the engine, like 50-10 or 10-30 or 20. You're not gonna go, take this. That's oil. That's all. Just fill it. That's dirty, man. I can't use that. I give you lefachot. It's gonna be glass, and it has to be clean. Sometimes you work in the street, you find those like bottles that all look like filled with tea, but it's not tea because somebody threw it out of the window. You're not going to put it in. That's disgusting, Kenny. It's terrible. You know what I'm saying, right? It's in order to have such refined olive oil, you need to put it in a refined clay. So we need to work very hard to clean ourselves in order for the light to come. The light is waiting to come, but we need to create the vessel. And you could see somewhat of an analogy to that, how it really works when we're talking about the miracle that what's his name did? That Elisha did with the Elisha did with the widow and the kids. She didn't have it. So what happened? When did the oil stop? When there were no more vessels. There were no more vessels and yuter kelim. Okay. So no more oil. As long as there were kelim, there was oil. That's exactly it. That's why, if you think about the whole fact that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the whole world is talui al blima, was dependent on suspended by a thread, whether the Jews are going to accept the Torah or not, then you understand it's impossible to kill the Jews. You kill the Jews, you kill the world. But who's going to learn Torah? Muhammad. Who's going to learn Torah? Ahmed. Or maybe Ragnar, or Hans. They're going to learn Torah. We need the Moisheles and the Yainkiv, and the all this. And Moshiko, also Sfaradim. Gam Sfaradim can learn Torah. Yeah, don't forget that. Yeah, especially Sfaradim can learn Torah. Now, what? Japanese cannot learn Torah also. Yeah, they can translate it, but they can't learn Torah.
Moshiko.
Huh?
Moshiko.
Moshiko is the Sfaradim. The Ashkenazim say Moishale, Sfaradim say Moshiko. For example, Ashkenazim will say Avrumale, right? What's the Avrumale? Avrumale. So it's not like, Avramiko. Avramiko. That's a matoka, yeah? Avramiko. It's a yofi. Yeah? תימנים לא יודע איך הם אומרים, אתה בדי פוצחו and everything, יאללה, שיהיו בריאים. But, Avramiko, querido, יקר, כזה Avramiko, Moshiko, Daviko. Ahmadiko לא הולך. Ahmadiko, no, it doesn't go, just, you say, only Jewish names, because it's sweet like this. Anyway, so what we're talking about, all those statements that we made before, is really that it's a situation when Am Yisrael is really pogem, blemishes the tzinorot shefa, those spiritual pipes that like main, like water main, like abundance main, they come. And again, you see anywhere that the Jews come and allowed to live like Jews, the place prospers. I mean, there's nothing to talk about. Nothing to talk about. The Jews go, everything goes down. Go throughout history, I'm not making it up. Go check every place. There hasn't been a place yet that the Jews left and became better than after they were there. It's impossible. That's exactly what it is. Again, this is a historical fact. Go say whatever you want. You can't argue with facts. And if you go tell me Germany, you know how many Israelis live in Germany? How many Jews live there? But Germany is nothing. Now, so Am Yisrael is pogem those tzinorot, and then he breaks the vessel, breaks the kli. And that kli is it's the vessel that really holds him. It's called kli kibul. Kli kibul mishum mekabel. It accepts. So you're breaking your own vessel. And it says in the Talmud Yerushalmi, in Masechet Barachot, Daf Yudalet over there, Yom ta'azveni, yamim a'azveka. You're going to leave me a day, I'm going to leave you for days. So Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish quotes this expression from the Medrash, and it says from Megillat Hasidim, and it explains it that if you leave something and walks away from it, don't expect that object to stay there and wait for you to come back. That distancing is going to also be a part of him or it, whatever that will be. And therefore, when you're coming back, it becomes more difficult. Again, if we're going to talk about swimming, not in a pool, in the ocean, you swim like this. That's why they recommend to you, if you do long distance swimming in the ocean, swim parallel to the shore. Don't go there, because you go there and then you look psychologically, says, I can't go back. And I'm telling you, I used to look and say, oh my goodness, I'm so tired. How am I going to swim this back? I mean, you should be easier because the waves are going. You just feel like, sefini, you don't have koach anymore. So the Talmud brings us, the Gemara over there brings us two different examples for this kind of distancing. So the first one is two people that came out of Tveria. Right? Two people. One came out from Tveria and one from Tzipori. Tzipori is up on a mountain, and the other one is in Tveria, which is all the way down. So it's up there, and the other one is all the way down. And they met one another in a house. One was going from there, so somewhere along the line, I guess on the place called Somet Golani, I don't know, whatever it is, they met each other over there. לא הפסיקו לפרוש זה מזה, עד שהלך זה מיל וזה מיל, נמצאו רחוקים זה מזה 2 מילים. So then they went into their own merry ways. One went 1 mile, let's say, and the other one went 1 mile. They all went a mile, but to each other, they were 2 miles apart. So as much as you go this way, that goes this way. That's why it's very difficult, very dangerous when you are on the path, and then you're straying off the path. It's very hard to bring you back. Now the other one is Isha שהייתה יושבת וממתנת לאיש, the woman was sitting down and waiting for a man. כל זמן שהייתה בדעתו להינשא לה, as long as he had her in mind to marry her, הייתה יושבת וממתנת לו. She used to sit down and wait for him. כיוון שהפליג, since he took a boat and sailed away, דעתו ממנה, right? הפליג דעתו ממנה, he forgot about her. הייתה הולכת ונישאת לאחרת. She went in and she married somebody else. That's it. This is finished. It's gone. So im ta'azveni yom azveka yomayim, we learn that if we are taking one step away from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, He Himself takes away from us 2 steps. Yom ta'azveni, yomayim azveka. So you're going to leave me 1 day, I'm going to leave you for 2 days. So now we're going to have 3 days apart. And you see it. I mean, you see it all the time. You come in here at the beginning, you sit down, you learn Gemara with all the Chevra, I call it Yafeh. Then, we go in and we apply. We're going through some sugya, some difficult sugya. All of a sudden, you gone a day. No, okay, do chazara, we're coming back like this. You're gone for a week, you can't come back. It's gone. You can't come back. I mean, you don't know what's going on. We evolve and develop and so on and so forth, and it accumulates, and you're gone. You can't make it up anymore. At that point, you said, okay, I'm going to recommit myself and go on. But you know what the Gemara says about a person. The two guys, the 2 chachamim were going together. One went to take a dip in the river. The other one continued going to the Bet Midrash. The other guy, since that point on, was always ahead of him. So I hear crickets here. Yeah. From outside. All right. So it sounds like a bonfire, so. So it's the same thing like you do also, like when you look at a mirror, you go like this and it also goes away from you like this. So that kilkul, that blemish that we put, actually puts it even further than what we actually realize. So I'm not going to wear tzitzit, no big deal. You have no idea what you do. And by the way, I keep telling you all the time. It's so important to wear tzitzit, and it's so dangerous when you take off your tzitzit. It's not so healthy when you take off your tzitzit. Your talit katan. I don't need to wear it. Then you're going to give me some shtickle halacha. It's a chavtza, gavra, chavtza, and Bekitzur, the bottom line, you are already like straying off. That's the bottom line. And so on and so forth. Again, you don't realize it, and by doing so, whoever makes this punishment of the Hester Panim is not HaKadosh Baruch Hu, is us. We are the one who are responsible to bring the darkness more into this world by doing the Hester, the double Hester, Hester Astir. In other words, which is Hester Astir means it's complete darkness, it's complete disconnect from the source. We are in complete darkness. We are away from the light source. And by the way, it's always us, not HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's always us, because we have the choice. What time is it? Okay. We have the choice to do that. We keep on doing this all the time. We are the one who bring the darkness, not HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's all based on what we do. And that's why I told you many, many times, the greatest punishment is not what we say in the Torah. The punishment is actually the distance that we put between us and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Hopefully we'll have a minyan, because a lot of guys are off. We really weren't supposed to be here, but hopefully we'll have it. They're also over there. They will daven over there. So, we're in such a bad state that it could be that a Jew could live in this world, right, without even thinking one machshava, one thought about HaKadosh Baruch Hu, not in a day, in a year. He lives like, patli, there are plenty of Jews like this. They live like this. They don't even think about God. That doesn't even cross their mind. And that's basically completely darkness. HaKadosh Baruch Hu does not leave us. We're not orphans, but we are in darkness. So we need to find a way how to really fix those vessels and to really bring back those pipes of abundance, so-called, back here, in order to fill this world with the light of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, as it says in Sefer
Iyov.
Anybody take his Zechariah? Got you on that one. Perek? Yudalid.
Yeah, it's a short hand.
Pasuk? Tet. Atem today, you're off. Right, it says, Vaya Hashem lemelech hakol haaretz, bayom hu yeh Hashem echad u'shmo echad. So now you know when Alenu l'shabech, you know where it comes from, right? It's from Zechariah. Zechariah. Huh? Yudaletet. Yes, that's from Zechariah. Hashem over there, as we says, that's the Or. That's the Or. Ushmo, it's the Kli. So when we say we put the Shem Yechud Kucha, we kind of put him back together when we do a certain mitzvah. Shem Yechud Kucha Brichu Leyachda Shem Yud Kei Bevav Kei. Why? Because according to Kabbalah, sometimes we put a separation through our averot, and through the mitzvah we're supposed to put them together. We are fixing the vessel when we're saying a mitzvah. That's why the Mekubalim and so on and so forth, they say L'Shem Yichud. People say L'Shem Yichud, they don't have no idea what they're doing. They're just saying L'Shem Yichud. But that's basically what we're doing. And together, both of them, it's going to be one. Together, both of them are going to be one. Hashem echad u'shmo echad. In other words, we're going to connect its name with its source. Right? As we read in the Hashem HaKadosh, Shehu nichlal im mekoro, right? With its source. So, bringing back things together. Now, let's skip a little bit because it's getting a little late here. We know that, for example, in the word Shira in Gematria equals Tfilah. Shira is Tfilah. But while Tfilah is very spontaneous and it's not really organized and something that it comes organized, it really comes from our lacking, something that we miss and we need from Chesronot. Shira is or hints or directs us to perfection. First to perfection, or if we say a certain perfection and a finalizing of a certain situation, and it's that perfection also goes in the way it's written in the Torah itself. Okay. Now, of course, we know the difference. We're going to talk about Shira in Hebrew. By the way, is
Song?
No, Shira is poetry. Poetry. Not everyone that writes poetry is a poet, but Shira is poetry. Ze shir she'ayu haleviim omrim, right, and so on and so forth. It shows a certain perfection of the day with the music of the Leviim and so on and so forth. So Shira it hints for a certain state of final perception of perfection. Yes.
So song is Zimra.
We'll get to it. I'll get to it in a second. Bezrat Hashem, Birshutchem, I'll get to it. So the words in the pasuk is one over the other, like bricks. You know, when you're laying one brick over the other, like you see the shira, like this goes like that, right? So a person, when he builds a building, right? Why does he build a building? Because he has a hope for a bright future. If there's no hope for a bright future, he's not going to build a building, right? Sometimes we think that a future is a certain place, and you're really wrong. It's a mistake. However, it's built like this to show us also, as we said beforehand, the hope that we're going to have for a better future for us. And Shirat HaAzinu really finalized, as we said before, everything that happened from the Avot, Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, all the way to the end. And this is the real power and the magnitude of the Shira itself. And this is why it's so powerful when we read it in Bet HaKnesset. That's why it's important to give the Shira and the Minhag in many congregations, to give it to the biggest Talmid Chacham of that is in the minyan. It's appropriate for him to be the one who gets the aliyah for Shirat HaAzinu, because it also hints for the power that comes from internal order. That's why it's important to be organized. You know, if you are organized, you'll think organized. If you're messy, you're not Leonel Messi. You're going to create a mess, right? It's going to, so also inside of us that we know how things are. It's organized. That's tremendous power. This is called the koach of emunah, the power of emunah, where we know there's this and this and this and this, and the stages and so on and so forth, and that in a way gives us the koach to understand the shlemut, the perfection, the internal perfection, and by doing so creating a hope for a future. And it says, "V'ata kitvu lachem et hashira azot velamda et bnei Yisrael sima b'fehem leman tiyeh li hashira azot le'ad bnei Yisrael." Over there, Rashi says, "Ba'er hashira." Parashat HaAzinu, right? In Parashat it says, "Ba'er hashira." The Rambam expands a little further. It says that the whole entire Torah is called Shira.
But what do you mean when you said the Talmid Chacham should be?
It's appropriate for him.
But there's 7 aliyot.
Yeah, I mean, well, you know, at least, you split, yeah.
Sections.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, right. All right. Now it says in the words of Chazal, there's a complete, how should I say it, distinction between what we call Shira veZimra. Shira veZimra. Okay. Now Zimra comes really from the word zemer, zayin mem resh, which is really a song. However, it goes something else. The people who works with wines, you know, in the grape field, you know, whatever it is, the grapevines, when they cut, those who cut the branches or cut the bunches of grapes, that action is called zmira. The cutters are called mazmerot. And also, when they were going to harvest, of course, they would sing. But it's but if we're going to look at this way, in order for the grape, if you know to buy grapes, you actually have to come and cut it all the time, so it will get enough air and plenty of shade and not too much sun and so on and so forth. And also, when they do so this is something to us when we do all these things, the roots becoming stronger, the plant becomes stronger, the roots become healthier, and the people, of course, when they sing the Zimra, comes to remove, in terms of us, the solid, the garbage out. And that's why you say, you know, singing is a form of therapy, right? Saying and so on and so forth is a form of therapy. Therefore, in the morning, by the way, every morning, what do we say? We say, Psukei de Zimra, right? Zomrim. We cut down those excess machshavot, those thoughts who are not needed, right, and are not wanted before we're going to come to Kriyat Shema. That's why now you understand why it's important it's important to come on time and to read Psukei de Zimra and not jump straight into Kriyat Shema, because that helps you focus your kavanah on Kriyat Shema. So that's why you have to say, oh, Rabbi, which one should I say? Should I say this? Should I say that? Should I say this? Don't just come on time and say everything the way you should say it.
I'm sorry, you're right about coming on time, but sometimes situations happen where a person just comes in and they're...
I will tell you off the camera exactly what happens. And it's that situation. Other things happen.
No, I'm just saying.
I'm just saying.
Like I have once in a blue moon with situation that I hate coming late to a minyan.
Okay.
But I just happen to be coming, and then what do? Do I just jump into Shema or I start everything from Korbanot?
No, leave Korbanot. We're talking about Psukei Zimra. Then you have to say. Yeah, I know. Well, this is for later on. This is really for later on. I mean, we always go through the same question and so on and so forth. But that's really for later on. For different time we're going to do it. However, you have to say, you can't go into Baruch Hu without Psukei Zimra. You have to say something. Praise to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But let's get into something somewhere else. Because you're basically saying, I'm pure, I don't need Psukei Zimra. Yalla. It's a little bit of arrogant, and of course inappropriate to come about. Of course, there's the Inyan of Tfilah B'tzibur, but that's a bigger scope topic to what we have now, because I really want to daven Arvit soon. But you have to say something. There is a certain minimum, but the Psukei Zimra are there for a reason. That's why you cannot stop also in the middle of Psukei Zimra for anything, basically. It's one section from Baruch She'amar all the way to Ishtabach. It's one section, and the word that ends at the end is Ishtabach. So, therefore, we say every morning Psukei Zimra, and we take those machshavot as we said beforehand. But Shira refers to intellect. You can't have an ignorant person who is uneducated to write poetry.
Sure.
Yeah.
There's somebody over there.
Yeah. So just bring it in. So that the spiritual grasps really come to a person who really learns Torah, and by learning Torah, he understands the mitzvot. He understands what the Torah wants. He understands the mitzvot, the chukim, the mishpatim, and everything that it says, and so forth. And it says, "V'ata kitvu et hashira hazot," and that reflects to the whole entire Torah. So, the whole thing that the Torah comes to teach us, of course, is on the way HaKadosh Baruch Hu, on the fact that there is a God, and the way HaKadosh Baruch Hu conducts the world. That's why, by the way, white tefillah is also a form of anti-idol worshiping, because you're praying to God. That's why Alelu L'Shabach is the highest tefillah, because in Alelu L'Shabach there's no, oh please God give me this, give God, it's pure grace to God. Nothing of what we want, it's all about God. That's why it's the highest tefillah possible. So when a person comes to understand, and that's what the Torah comes. So you can't tell me I believe in God when you don't even open a daf of Gemara. You can't. Your understanding, the graspings of HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to be limited. It's like you're going to tell me, I learned multiplication and division. I know math. I don't need more math than that. Everything is included with that. I said, listen, there is also fractions and percentages. There's many other things. Many other things. But that's exactly what it is. How can you understand what God is if you never learn anything about Him? That's what we say, En Am Haaretz Chasid. Chasid is a person who mitchasedim adono. And if he's Am Haaretz, he doesn't know anything, how can he do that? Okay? So, that's how HaKadosh Baruch Hu rules the world. And that Shira is written in two different pillars, one, like two columns, one from right, one from left, to teach us that as long as the balance is being kept, and we know what the balance, remember, imagine a road, right? You're going on a mountainous road, and there's a cliff from here and a cliff from there. So they put a divider, they put lines, not to go close to the line and not to go over the line. So we have those two pillars over there, the two columns, which are indication to us, almost like the Yachinu Boaz, right? That to teach us, as long as we keep the balance, right? Those columns could stay and maintain. But if we would interfere and interrupt the balance, those columns could move right or left, and that could cause a chain reaction in the world that is going to be greater than what we're able to determine. We can determine how bad it will be. We cannot be, ayatollahs in Iran, and we can't be like flower children in the 60s. It's all, it has to be balanced. And that structure is called ariach al gabe ariach, a tile upon a tile. And while Shirat Hayam is Ariach al Gabe Levena, right? Is a tile on top of a thing, and therefore these are the two testimonies that remind us and warn us all the time to keep the right derech, the appropriate path, and the straight way in which we Jews have to go by. In other words, you have to learn in order not to get lost. You must learn not to get lost. However, when you learn, you must keep the balance. You can't be, without mentioning names, certain guy from, over there, everything, yes, women going for Aliyah Torah, this is, and the other hand, women are, muktzeh. We have to have a balance, or anything else. But you need to know and identify it. So if we were talking about, when Am Yisrael came out of Mitzrayim, with Amud Arnan ve Amud Esh, when they had a pillar of it's always two. Think about it, it's always two samemanim. Two flag posts for us not to get lost. But you have to recognize them as being there. And that's the Shirah Azot. Again, the Shirah is something that is more of like a poetry with the significance of intellectual property. In other words, you have to learn Torah. V'zimra, kol echad yachol לקחת microphone and to sing. But it's quite different between Zimra v'Shira. And that's why we have to pray, because Shira is Tefillah. And that's why the Rambam says the Shira is the Torah. Lo yamush mipicha u'mipi zaracha u'mipi zera zaracha. So therefore you have to learn and you have to teach your children and your grandchildren, because that's your responsibility to them. However, with all this, you have to be balanced. You have to be balanced. You can't stray. But in order not to stray, you have to be knowledgeable. Because if you're not, you stray. Shabbat Shalom and Shana Tova.